welcome to the final installment of Dakota Poker Tour's Season X, concluding here tonight. We will find out the official results for the Player of the Year points race. After 24 tournaments currently as it stands, 20 points separates Cody Slusher and Brandon Dosh. Slusher with the slight advantage. Tonight, neither of these players are remaining, but we do have at least 4 or 5 players on that points leaderboard that can, if they place very high tonight, up for, I think the first place is about $5,000, they could climb the points race and potentially overtake Cody and or Brandon. So we're going to go around and introduce our players, and then we'll get to the action. So starting off in seat 1, Will Wooliver with 100K. He's out of Roseau, Minnesota. Seat 2, we have Ashley Hofdahl with the 201,000 in chips out of Fargo. Mike Merrick in 21st place on the leaderboard. East Grand Forks, 262,000. Tommy Hill, seat 4, 201,000 out of Fargo. And in 11th place on the leaderboard, Tony Euler, 262,000 in points, coming down from Grand Forks, North Dakota. In seat 6, we see Nate Kiefert, 146,000 in chips out of Fargo. Seat 7, Justin Cole, 138,000 in chips out of Mapleton. In the 8th seat, Jacob Anvil, 238,000 out of Bemidji. Thanks for making the drive, Jacob. And rounding off our feature table here, we are down to 2 tables. Bob, the Professor Silskar, 120,000 out of Mayville. He is currently 17th in our points race. So without further ado, we are going to get started here. So here we're starting off on our feature table. Ashley Hofdahl starting off with pocket jiggities. Going to cede over to Nate Kiefert, who will call her raise of 24,000. We're going to fold around likely over to Ashley. And after collect the wagers, we are surely going to see a flop here, and flop comes. 4-4-10. Kind of a blank board. Ashley's still in the lead. Nate having a middle pair. Might be thinking his hand is somewhat strong, but Ashley's going to come out firing right away. Looks to be 31,000. Nate to call 31,000 with middle pair. At this point, he's got to be thinking Ashley certainly had obviously had a strong hand pre-flop, potentially a high pocket pair. Oh my God, and Nate goes all in. This should be a no-brainer for Ashley, but always good to take a moment, pause, analyze the situation. Nate maybe testing, seeing if she, raised strong pre-flop with a couple high cards like ace-king, ace-queen. But Nate's still risky, though. She calls. Oh, my gosh. This could be... Ashley's going to be extremely happy to see she is ahead in the hand as she has top pair. Turn comes a queen. Nate's tournament life at stake. River. Looks... Waiting on 6 of diamonds, so that is going to do it for Nate. Ashley starting off on the feature table, smoking hot, and we are pulling in a chip, kicking out a player. Ashley gaining some momentum going into our feature table. We do have 2 tables right now. Our final 2 tables will kind of introduce you to those players over there, and in fact our chip leader is on table 2. But we're going to have Roger McLean, 122,000 over on from Foreman, North Dakota. In seat 2 on table 2, we have Jared Quast, 164,000 of Fargo. Seat 3, we have Keith Tiny Kemper, 541,000 out of Hawaii. Always willing to make those plane trips up from Hawaii. COVID will not stop Tiny. He is flying in for the Dakota Poker Tour no matter what. He is not going to miss an event. But he is our chip leader, 541,000. Fu Trong, 59K, definitely the short stack at that table out of Moorhead. James Wilson, 168,000 out of Wapton. Matt Jensen is over there on table 2, in 13th place on the points leaderboard, 281,000 out of Fargo. Oh, we're going to pause on that because we have the professor all in for 116,000. Let's see if he gets anyone to bite. Well, looks like everyone is going to fold. And we'll round off table 2 on that seat 7. Richard Perkowitz. I think I nailed that. 224,000 out of Washburn, North Dakota. With Dallas Dewitt in seat 8, 46K. Another short stack, actually the shortest stack on in play right now out of Park Rapids. And then rounding off table 2, Russell Johnson of Fargo, 77,000. So definitely table 2 has a lot more disparity in chip counts, whereas we're a little bit more even on our feature table here. Tommy looking down at ace-9 suited. It's going to call. Action over to Jacob. We're going to, in the hijack position, we're going to... It's going to be a mystery what he has right now, but over to Bob Silsgaard. Just went all in, but will fold his ace-jack, interestingly enough. Maybe because there's so much more players ahead of him, he just doesn't want to get in the way of someone with an even bigger hand. But Jacob's 2 cards, no matter that they were a mystery, he'll take down that pot. Just a reminder, this is the conclusion of the Dakota Poker Tour's Season X. Whoever wins here tonight will be invited to come back tomorrow at 10 a.m. where we will have the DPT Season X Tournament of Champions, where anyone who has won from the 24 tournaments we have held in the last, well, now 2 years, will be invited to come play and try their hand at a $1,500 World Series of Poker package. So that's what first place would win there. And I believe tonight, I want to thank all of you for tuning in on our YouTube or Facebook page. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share even. You can share this post to let all of your other poker playing friends and fans join in on the action here. We are at Hagge's Bar in Mapleton. I forgot to mention that way in the beginning. So we definitely want to thank Hagge's Bar in Mapleton for being gracious hosts, excellent service, great food. The drinks are flowing. Everyone's having a good time. We have a nice atmosphere here in an even better poker venue, maybe one of the best we've had all year. Ashley Halfdahl looking down at ace-10 offsuit. We're going to fold over to Tommy Hill with Jack-King off. He's going to fold that. Tony Euler. Tony Euler, if I remember correctly, it was the first tournament I worked, but he took down, I believe, the Windbreak tournament. That was had to have been 2019. So certainly good to see Tony back on a feature table. It's not the first and certainly won't be the last. Looks like our blind levels are 6,000, 12,000 with a big blind ante of 12,000. After this hand, though. I'm going to start on Jacob Anvil. He's going to fold that garbage hand. Professor looking down at Queen 9 suited. He's reaching for chips. He's going to raise it up to 28,000. Fold around to Tommy, Euler. Justin's going to fold. And Professor will take down another pot of blinds and antes. Another organization I want to, thank for allowing us to do this is the West Fargo Rural Fire Department. They're a great partner of the Dakota Poker Tour. This will be the second tournament this year we've put on for them. In fact, our last tournament over at the Speedway Event Center seems like forever ago, but it was just 4 months prior to this about. That was also a West Fargo Rural Fire Department event, so thank you to them for allowing us to put on this tournament yet again. Jacob Anvil looking down at 7-4. Might have our, there we go. Bob looking down at 2 5s. Great blackjack starting hand, average starting hand, and Justin Cole being somewhat of the short stack is going to go all in with one of the better hands you can have in poker, starting hands at least. This should put Bob all in. Looks like he has no more than probably 60,000. Maybe about 75 to 80,000 for Bob, but if he calls this, his tournament life will be at stake, and as you can see, it's pretty much a coin flip should he call. And Bob's going to probably wisely fold. You make it this far in the tournament, you certainly don't want to risk your entire tournament life on a coin flip, especially when you don't necessarily need to. You know, he just paid his big blind with the ante. So that is 24K gone out of his stack. But you can see he's got 11 big blinds left. Will Woolever definitely needs to start making moves, as he has 6 big blinds left. Might hear a bunch of hooting and hollering in the background of the bar. We had a bunch of 20-some-year-old ladies walking in. They're dressed up as old ladies, and that's pretty much all that's happening. Looks like on table 2 action, Russell Johnson was just knocked out of our tournament. Table 2 is down 3 players.
Good luck, guys.
This is definitely the rowdiest bunch of poker fans we've seen all year, just in time for the DPT Championship. Yeah, we looked away for a second, and Will was just gone. It's like, when did Will get kicked out? I just got moved over to table 2, as we had fairly unbalanced tables, and I could have figured that out. As I just said, table 2's down 3 players, and we were only down 1, maybe 2, but nonetheless, we shall resume poker here. Not much action on this hand. It's kind of one of those dead hands. Can kind of be a blessing and a curse of live poker, as you get to see all the action, you know, as it unfolds. But it's not quite what you see on TV. Obviously, it's edited down for the drama and the action. But sometimes just no one is dealt a good hand, and just got to kind of wait out until we find some good hands to be entertained by. Just kind of looking at the point standings and the top prize here today. You know, Tony Euler sitting at 6,875 points. If he takes home that first place prize of over 5,000, he's going to jump into third place, leapfrogging John Worden to take sole possession of third place, which is still an incredible feat. You know, that's consistency among probably even the top 15 players. Consistency in these tournaments and constantly placing and cashing in them. Certainly takes a next level mental game to be able to, you know, play many tournaments. And they're not just playing, you know, Dakota Poker Tour. They play a lot of live poker all over. So it's, you don't think poker players are athletes. They don't always look it, but the mental game is very strong, and just being able to kind of sit down and stay focused on one thing for, you know, all day long. This tournament here started at noon. We're now on into our 8th hour, and I just played yesterday to kind of give a baseline. I played a turbo tournament last night, and after the first 45 minutes, I was like, man, I don't know how these people do it, how these poker players do it. But here we're looking down. We got Mike with Pocket Cowboys and Ashley with a couple of 9s. This isn't necessarily the making for a crazy hand, as Ashley's pocket pair isn't extremely strong. I mean, obviously we can see the percentages on the screen there that she's being crushed pretty bad. Yeah, and Mike just throwing out a bunch of chips there. No chance. Yeah, Ashley's got to know she's beat, and she did. And there's a reason why Ashley's made it this far, and it's because she's a good poker player. All these players are.
Ashley wants to give you money for water. Right on. She goes, will you give me a bottle of water? Like, no, Mark got it. He goes, well, I'll give it to him. I'm like, oh. I mean, I get to keep the water? I think so. I thought they swing it. Fuck Bob. No one likes Bob. That's what I'm saying all day.
Here we see Justin and Jacob battling it out with Battle of the 9, high card 9. Jacob with the open ender, definitely with the advantage there over Justin. Here Mike and Tommy are both say their hands are good enough to tango on this one. Action over to Tony Euler. Looking down to Jack Queen off, not good enough for him. Gonna fold around to Jacob. Couple of suited connectors. Being in the small blind, he's got a little discount to play this hand. Looks like the option's on Bob. Well, they don't call him option Bob for nothing. He's going to take the check option. We're going to see a flop 2 for ace. Mike jumping out to pretty good lead there. However, Bob going all in with just his flush draw. Really putting the pressure on Mike for sure. Tommy and Jacob are going to be pretty easily getting out of the way here. Tommy flopping an open-ended straight draw, but it's really not because you can't connect anything past the ace. So he would really just need a 5 if he could somehow. Tommy certainly won't be sticking around any longer to see if maybe he catches a 5. There's no reason to donk away chips for a maybe when you already have Bob going all in, putting the pressure on, and there's 2 other players in the hand. Mike's got to be thinking how great it would be to knock another player out, pull in 130,000 as a pot right now. Surely add a great chunk of change to his stack. But always good to take a moment and analyze, and there is no time limit in poker. There is a clock, though, if someone decides to call clock if you're taking too long, but that is kind of a not really a used rule much in poker. Oftentimes when nothing's happened for 2 minutes even, and someone will yell clock, just to kind of keep the game moving, and it ends up that the person who's, it was their action, their turn, didn't even realize that they zoned out, and they thought they were waiting on someone else to go. So that's generally what I've seen when a clock is called. Not necessarily, obviously we can see here Mike is contemplating and trying to dissect the professor in what he could possibly have. Is it time to gamble and having that ace, but he's got a really not the strongest kicker. What if Bob has ace king, ace 10 through ace king has Mike dominated in this instance. Yeah, Bob is, or Mike, the only one who has a chance really at calling that. Jacob wanting to get a piece of the action, just doesn't quite have it in him. Cards didn't fall his way. Bob will pull in some chips. Not a big deal. Just another blinds and antes. And here we'll take... If you're wondering what all that cheering is about, it is because we are taking a look at the Season X tournament points, or Player of the Year tournament points. As you can see, Cody Slusher and Brandon Dosh separated by 20 points over 21 events. Nick Ingolfsland not playing right now. Eric Johnson Bossum, Awesome Bossum, Brandon Schmidt, Jared Strode, Curtis Veerstraight, Justin Smith, Josh Dahlstrom. None of those players are in right now. The only one with a chance to move up in the leaderboard significantly is going to be Tony Euler in 11th place. But tournament points are not for Player of the Year. You know, if you have no chance at winning Player of the Year, which almost all these players are, everyone's mathematically out of it. We've already kind of determined who our Player of the Year is. First place, though, tonight is $5,000. So, big whoop, didn't win the Player of the Year, but big whoop, I'm going to win $5K tonight. $5,010. We are paying 9 places. Obviously, everyone's eyeing down that top prize. Cool, $5,010. If you want to check out the Player of the Year points race yourself, you can go on the DakotaPokerTour.com website, DakotaPokerTour.com. Check out the leaderboard, upcoming events, past events, synopsis. Here we have Tommy. Middle pocket pair, 8s, raising to 35K. Ashley with a strong starting hand, contemplating a call. Ashley Halfdall going to call the raise to 35K. And our flop comes Queen 3-9. Ashley checks Tommy with second bottom pair. Take this one of two ways. See if Ashley does have anything by putting out a bet like that. 50,000. Ashley going to take her time here, perhaps baiting Tommy. Ashley raising it up. Ashley raising to 150,000, catching that queen, and Tommy sniffs it out. His bottom middle pair is no good. He's gonna fold. So Ashley taking kind of a sizable chunk at this point in the tournament out of Tommy. which I don't know how Tommy would really play that. You can't, once you fire off, raising pre-flop, get called, don't really catch anything on the flop. You have bottom middle pair. Either continue repping that strong hand, but you can't really expect to check it down because now you're showing weakness and the other player has every opportunity to show aggression. Take that pot just like Ashley did there. We're going to start off action on this next hand with Tony Euler looking down at Jack Queen offsuit. We're going to fold. Over to Jakob Anbel. Down at ace-5 suited, he'll call. Actually raised to 30,000. Bob obviously knows what to do with that hand, and that's a big fat fold. Action over to Tommy, fold. Euler. He already folded. Jacob take down some blinds and antes. Tommy going all in here.
Attention players. This level will end in 1 minute.
Just counting it up and it. Oh yeah, Tommy's been chunked pretty good from that last hand. Looks like he might be down. Like about 60,000. Action being on Jacob, who looks like he calls. And we're going to see a flop. It's like 7 of diamonds, 9 of hearts, Jack of spades. Ah, we do have 3 players in. I didn't see that. So Ashley and Jacob will be battling it out the rest of the way here. Turn card is a 5 of diamonds. And the river is a king of diamonds. We're going to go ahead and expose our cards. Jacob with the ace-5. He's got a pair of 5s. Tommy pocket 10s. And Ashley with the jack. So Ashley is going to take home a sizable pot Holy cow. Ashley's going to be looking like our table chip leader. Not sure how it's looking on table 2, but that was monstrous and a great time. Not only does Ashley kick a player out, but also chunks Jacob, who did start out with 438,000. Looks like it's it's going to have probably about 100,000 less than what he started with, just eyeballing it out. Actually, he yeah, it's about that. Oh, Jacob in bobble fold. Ashley's looking down, still stacking chips. Trying to figure out where to put them. Looks like she's raising 42,000. Mike looking down at ace-jack folds, Justin folds, and Ashley will just quickly take that one down. Got an all in the call on table 2. And it looks like we are going to be losing another player. Oh, it was a 2 down, 3-way or 2-way all in with another caller. And just like that, it looks like, I think it was Dallas Dewitt, or maybe it was Russell Johnson maybe, and Roger McLean on table 2. Just like that, knocked out of this tournament. Thank you, fellas, for playing, coming on down to Hagge's in Mapleton, trying your luck at Dakota Poker Tour's final tournament of Season X. But here we see Justin Cole going all in for about 78,000. Chip counts might be a little off, but that's okay. It's going to be roughly that. And the action will be on Ashley to call. And this might be one of those hands I was talking about earlier where everyone just kind of gets garbage. And nothing really happens. Jacob will call. Bob will probably use his option. No. He's going to go all in and just take down the small blind. Well, small blind with the call, so he at least basically that financed his big blind ante. So Bob coming out even on that last hand. And we'll see a chip count update, and just like I thought, Ashley Halfdahl, over 600,000 in chips, has about a third. So we'll probably be seeing Justin and Bob starting to make some moves as they have half, and then half of that half big blinds remaining from the next player up. We're going to see Tony Euler looking down at ace-8 offsuit. He's going to go ahead and looks like he's definitely raising it up. So our blinds are going to raise up to 48,000. I'm going to fold around to Ashley, who also folds, and not much happening there. Tony taking down the blinds and antes. Even if you haven't been in a hand for a while and you finally get some action on a hand, as we see with Tony here, at least had an opportunity to raise pre-flop, and even if he didn't get any action off of it, King 9 is not really even the strongest hand ever, so he might even be happy to just be pulling in chips based on the fact that he didn't have a very strong hand, but it was strong enough to win, at least to make the action to win. And now he's maybe feeling like he's got a little momentum, pulling in some chips. Never a bad thing to be pulling chips your way in this game of Texas Hold'em poker. I'm going to fold around to Ashley. She'll fold, Mike folds. And again, this is the conclusion of the Dakota Poker Tour Season X. You're watching it live here tonight from the Hagge's Bar and Grill in Mapleton, North Dakota, just about 15-20 minutes outside of Fargo. Tonight, we've already kind of determined unofficially that Cody Slusher of Oaks, North Dakota, is going to be winning our Player of the Year. That is what is on the line here. This is the last qualifying tournament, or tournament where you win points for the Player of the Year standings. This is the last tournament of Season X that you can win points towards that, but almost assuredly Cody is going to be taking home the Player of the Year, with Brandon Dosh losing or trailing behind. He really did win. I mean, he's won a lot, but just a 20-point deficit over 21 tournaments, which is absolutely insane. The biggest jump we could see here today is if Tony Euler decides to make a big run at this and takes home the $5,010 first place prize. Tony will leapfrog from 11th to 3rd place. So that's probably the biggest jump we could see here today. Other players on the leaderboard that I believe are still in here. So Tony Euler in 11th. We have Matt Jensen On table 2 in 13th place, Bob Silskar, the professor, 17th place. And then you'll also see Mike Merrick. Obviously, those two on our feature table here, 3 of them on our feature table, in 21st place. Looks like we have Bob all in. His king queen suited. Tony Euler's 7-6. He's got bottom pair. I guess the only thing Tony needs to decide here, try to read, is does Bob have a higher pocket pair? What did he go all in with? Bob getting a flop that's 6-8-8 with 2 overcards. Ideally, you would be thinking the range that your opponent would be playing should be nowhere near the 8 and the 6. So Bob going all in, is he kind of pushing here? Is this a bluff, an attempted bluff by Bob? Does he have a high pocket pair? But Tony catching a piece of that flop, that's the biggest thing. 2 6s could win it. But as soon as a king and a queen pops out on the board, he calls, and that's it. He calls. Just like that. So Tony's going to be fairly relieved. He's got that 71% chance of winning this hand. Turn is a 4, need a king or a queen. And a 4 comes on the river, and that's going to do it for Bob, the Professor Silskar. Another great run for Bob. Couldn't quite make it in the money. But we are getting down there. If it's not you getting kicked out, it's got to be someone else. So Tony Euler with a big pot here, knocking out Bob Silskar. Bob, no slouch at the poker table, so the earlier the better. These players are probably thinking to knock him out, because we all know the damage that Bob can do if he stays around lingering on the tables. So great tournament for Bob. Look forward to potentially the next tournament of Dakota Poker Tour, which, by the way, tomorrow. It's tomorrow already. We are going to be kicking off our Season XI tomorrow. What is tomorrow? Sunday, September 26th. 1 p.m. kicks off with a $150 buy-in. Got a starting chip stack of $10,000 with add-ons available up to $25K. So that is tomorrow, 1 p.m. DPT Season XI kickoff tourney. And before that, maybe even kind of more importantly, it's still important, that tomorrow morning we will officially wrap up Season X with our Tournament of Champions. So any player who has won a Dakota Poker Tour event in the last 2 years now, it's been, well, since 2019, it's 2021 now. So yeah, for the last 2 years, we'll be invited to come play free roll Tournament of Champions $1,500 World Series of Poker package. So that's a pretty incredible thing. Mike looking down at Jack King offsuit. I'm going to fold around to Ashley. She's already folded, so Mike took it down. Pretty exciting pot to take down there for Mike. Had 77 players today to start off. That is now down I think to 11 players now, so we're 2 away, 1 away from the bubble, and 2 away from a final table, and final table means we're all in the money. So just trying to glance over at the second table. I can't really see all the chip stacks. But if you know you're fairly chip stacked, you know you're probably the next one to go. Because these bigger chip stacks have the room to bully you around. They can afford doubling you up. And they could just do nothing until you get kicked out. Which means they're that many people closer, 1, to being in the money. And Tony not getting anyone to bite on that, his pocket queens there, which great starting hand. You'd love to see a little bit more action out of it, but again, Tony pulling chips his way, not shoving them other ways, or at least away from him. As you can see there, he's in second place. Right behind Ashley by about 13,000. So he's sitting pretty. Justin, 2 big blinds left. He needs to make moves. Jacob reaching for chips, raising it up to 42,000. Over to Mike, king queen offsuit. Certainly not a bad hand. And as the number of players on the tables gets smaller until we eventually refill up to 9, you do kind of have to change up how you play and perhaps the range of cards that you play. Typically like an ace-7 might not really be played with a full table, mostly because the odds of a better hand being out there are pretty high. I've seen king-queens being thrown away. And of course, there's many other factors to it, but here we can see Mike picking up that king, but he's not in the clear. There's a pretty clear flush draw out there, and if Jacob has 2 hearts or a heart in his hand and a 4th one comes on the board, Mike now is in deep doo-doo. But being that there was a check, Mike just trying to see maybe what Jacob would do is going to fire out a bet there of 80,000. Little blocker bet, and shows the king. Jacob making the right fold. Wasn't that hard. Didn't catch anything. So Mike will be happy to bring chips his way. And Mike will call that 8K. Tony will check, and we'll see a flop 8, 6, ace. No one catches a piece of that. Well, Tony picks up a gut shot. That, which also means Mike does. But oftentimes the first aggressor will be the one to take down the pot when no one really catches a pair or catches a piece of the action. And as we see there, Mike in position, first aggressor. He'll take down and win that pot. As we see there, Mike and Tony are some of the bigger dogs on the table, having about 480,000 to the 300-something thousand that I just saw. So no need for any one of these guys to throw away chips when there's nothing really going on, and it's kind of an understanding between the bigger chip stacks that we have some time to kill and perhaps let one of these shorter stacks, because it's inevitable. It's an orbit or two around the table, and a short stack is going to get chunked by the blinds and antes alone. They have to make a move, and the sooner the better. You wait every orbit around the table, you don't win anything. Doubling up is worth less and that much less. So it's a delicate balance between when you want to gamble your tournament life and if or waiting for a more premium hand to give you the best chance at winning, doubling up at least. Me personally, I love to see the quick gamble, someone throwing in 9-5, screw it, all in, and they win. That's the best. Not when it happens to me, and I'm on the other end of that, but it's great. It's great drama. It's good action in poker. Ashley got Jack 7 suited. Oh, we got Justin all in. Never mind, that's wrong. As our control booth said. So Tony Euler, ace jack, will raise to 48,000. Now we'll see Justin going all in. I mean, that's not for 6K. That's a little off. But it'll be corrected here. So we have our all-in. I'll just kind of look down over the balcony here. Ace-Jack versus 2 queens. Euler's Ace-Jack is alive, but he has 1 over. Justin at risk. Turns a 6 of clubs. Just does not want to see an ace here, and he does. Oh. So there's a toilet nearby. I need to throw up. Or a bucket. I'll take a empty ice cream bucket. Oh. Tony knowing, I mean, he's played enough poker to know that how disgusting that was. But I think that means Justin was the bubble. we are going to redraw for seats. It looks like we're going to take a short break, redraw for seats, get out everything else in order. We'll be back to see the conclusion, final table action at Dakota Poker Tours at conclusion of Season X. See you all after the break.
Maybe the quick screen. Business is everywhere. So obviously they have those things, yes, but that doesn't mean you can watch the live stream on it. I see. But if you can watch it on Facebook or Twitch or YouTube, yeah, okay. Reach live.
Ladies and gentlemen, poker players, fans, anyone who's watching, welcome back to the conclusion of the Dakota Poker Tour Season X Championship. We have our final table. We are at Hagge's Bar in Mapleton, North Dakota. We'll start off with our players of the lineup. In seat 1, we have Ashley Hofdahl, $519,000. We just saw her on our feature table out of Fargo. Richard Perkowitz, $262,000 of Washburn. Matt Jensen, DPT champion last year or so at M&J Saloon, $122,000. Tony Euler, we just saw him. He's still here, $634,000. Jacob Amble, $272,000. He is still here from our feature table. Jared Quast, welcome to the table, $200,000 out of Fargo. Mike Merrick hasn't gone anywhere, staying on our feature table, but he has an updated chip count of $353,000. In first place in seat 8, Keith Tiny Kemper of Hawaii. We're gonna, hopefully he wins this to pay for his trip up here. He is our chip leader, $726,000 in chips. And rounding off our final table here, Jason Wilson with $423,000 in chips out of Wappiton. Thanks for making the drive. As you can see here, Tiny has about a fifth, just over a fifth of all the chips on the table. Matt Jensen is going to be our first player that is probably going to be going all in no matter what, as he only has 5 big blinds left. Being that he is in third position, he's already paying for his big blind. I think we're on hand 2, so he should be in the small blind, and away we go. Hopefully get some exciting action here on our final table. And just a reminder, this may be DPT's Season X finale, but Dakota Poker Tour returns tomorrow here at Hagge's Bar, 10 a.m., Tournament of Champions. So whoever wins here tonight will be invited to come back tomorrow for a free roll, try to win some more goods, and we'll see Matt here, ace-7 suited, going all in with his $90,000. James will call with his other ace-high, ace-deuce. So Matt will certainly be avoiding a 2 and a 2 only. Unless all the cards are higher than a 7, we will see Matt and James with a split pot. There's the 2. Oh no. Matt's tournament life is at stake right now. Needs to see a 7. Needs to see a 7. Ah, and that's going to eliminate Matt Jensen in 9th place. He is going to be taking home $600. $600 for first play, or for 9th place. So just like that, Matt's 15 minutes of fame are cut short, so he's banking on some more and later.
Attention players. The blinds have changed. The small blind is 10,000 and the big blind is 20,000. Then, the ante is 20,000.
You know, it's actually a pretty big bummer we can't see more of Matt. He is, you know, if there was right now we have the best of the Red River Valley voting going on for bars and restaurants and other businesses. If poker personalities was on that list, I think it would be a clean sweep, unanimous decision that Matt Jensen is got the best poker personality. But it's not obviously just poker. He's got one of the best personalities out there of anyone that I know. So we're bummed to see him go because it's another energy level that Matt brings that also kind of gets in people's head. So it's part of his game, but we won't see any more of it though because he's gone. Oh my gosh, you kind of just get focused on poker and you take a look at the bar and it is absolutely packed in here. The fans really are turning out here tonight for Dakota Poker Tour. There's about 100 people in the rest of the bar cheering on our competitors as we see Tiny with his Jack 10 suited connectors, Jared with pocket sixes going all in for about 168,000. Michael, get out of the way. Action is now on Tiny. And he's going to go ahead and call. We're going to flip him up. We got pocket sixes versus a Jack 10 suited connectors. Need to avoid a 6 or a Jack and a 10. Ooh, flops an open ender. That's not looking good for Quast. Now needs to avoid an 8 or a king. Oh, and there it is. There it is. Another river. Another river, but it goes to the chip leader, Tiny. Tiny giving Jared a taste of what Hawaiian life is like. And as they say, aloha, but that's hello. So maybe aloha may mean goodbye in this instance. Yeah, just like what I thought, I had to bring this on to our research team. Aloha is hello and goodbye in Hawaiian. So Tiny saying aloha to Jared. He'll be out in 8th place, taking home $730. Next prize for whoever goes out in 7th will be $940. And then once we get to 6th place, that's where we start seeing 4 digits. So Richard Perkowitz will be calling the raise from James Wilson of 40,000. Action over to Tony Euler, looking at a couple of rocket ships. Perhaps he's been on the phone with Elon Musk, saying, "Fire up the rockets, baby. We going to the moon." Really, that would be Mars. But we're gonna fold around to James. He's got a decision to make here. 10-9 suited, certainly not a strong hand at all, even with 7 players at the table. So Tony 3-bets to 140,000. Richard Queen 10 offsuit to call, and he's just going to throw that away, probably as expected. Tony bullying his way around the table, bringing Richard and he's bringing Richard and James down, just chunking them a little by little, to eventually get them to the point where they just need to start going all in or nothing. Ashley looking at 5-3 offsuit will fold. Richard ace queen offsuit. Now this is a stronger hand where it's probably time for old Richard to oh, he's got some chips to gamble with, so he's going to raise it up to 60,000. This is a $150 deep stack buy-in starting at noon today. We're halfway through our 9th hour of poker. Again, as we always talk about, it's getting to that point where the sheer stamina of how long can you play poker starts to kick in, and mistakes start happening. The screw it, I'll just go all ins start happening. But Tony again 3-betting to 130,000, using that weight to his advantage. And by weight, I mean chip stack. Tiny folding, James folding over, back over to Richard, who was just bullied by Tony a hand ago. So revenge might be fresh in his mind. Maybe Tony's trying to assert himself as the bully here, but Richard definitely has the advantage should he decide to go all in here, which is his only option. So Tony does force an all-in from Richard, and there's no better time than now with ace-queen, you know, especially to go up against the big stack. Tony can very easily afford this with how much chips he has in front of him, but we're going to see ace-queen versus ace-9. Richard Perkowitz, tournament life on the line. Maybe it's Perkirowitz. I apologize, Richard, and to his friends and family if I have pronounced it wrong. Call him Richie P. How about that? Flop comes deuce 10-5, turns a 7, no help to Tony, who doesn't need it. 9 and a 9 only. Can he river yet again? Looks like it's a 3 of spades. So Richard will double up off of significant chip stack. Tony will be retreating back to his side of the felt, licking his wounds, but he'll be gearing up for battle here. I'm sure he'll be ready very shortly whenever the cards come his way. Keep going with the action here. Michael fold over to Tiny, looking down at Ace-Jack. He's got a healthy hand, be able to bet with. He's going to raise it up to 55,000. James Wilson looking down at 10-8. Being in the big blind, or rather the small blind, it's kind of a discounted rate. He's already got some chips in there. Tiny maybe doing the smart thing and raising it up a little bit. But here we can see James hitting the 8 on the flop and the 10. Oh my God, Tiny's Ace-Jack turns into garbage right now, knowing that James hit a 10-8, and there's no way Tiny can call or just know that, oh, James is in with frankly, a really crappy hand. But James hits 2 amazing cards for 2 pair. James trying to set the trap on Tiny. Is Tiny gonna fire away? Oh my God, he's reaching for chips. I think I saw an entire stack of yellows in there. I think almost 300,000. I think it would essentially put, yeah, Tiny's just going all in. What could, James is thinking, what could Tiny have? Jack Queen gives him the straight. Even he wouldn't have, Jack 7. That would be ludicrous. But then again, James has 10-8, and that was ludicrous. So James having to think, and understandably so. Can't slow play anyone on the river when they're all in and you have to call. James just diagnosing the hand, how the action happened leading up to this point. And you can see Tiny raised, checked on the flop, the small bet on the turn, which Tiny called. James checks, Tiny goes all in. Yeah, that's, from his perspective, could be pretty perplexing. The only thing, well, I suppose the flush draw is out there too, so if Tiny has 2 spades, James is crushed. But does the sequence of bets equal waiting, waiting on the flush, which it certainly does, and I'm sure Tiny knows that. With the raise, James thinking Tiny has perhaps 2 spades, very strong hand. Tiny flops flush draw. Okay, we'll check that. Get to the turn, blank essentially for Tiny, but then we get to the river, and now the flush draw is in play. Will James, this will be the biggest bluff that I've ever seen in Dakota Poker Tour history. But James looking like he's going to be defeated here. He can't convince himself, couldn't possibly convince himself to call with the best hand. I mean, how could you be crazy to call with the best hand? Then again, this is his tournament life at stake. This would be an amazing call if James makes it. I'm sure he was feeling incredible on the turn, but knowing he's going up against a much bigger stack, almost, oh no. Would have almost paid for James to be more aggressive at the turn, knowing, oh, that's a killer. James, I know you're going to look back on this, and I know your heart is already sinking past your stomach, but we'll see how the rest of this tournament plays out. You got a smart head on your shoulders, as I know, because I've dealt and seen Tiny play over the last year. He's a good poker player, and I've seen him bluff a decent amount, and I've certainly seen him have it. So it's a respectable fold, certainly, especially knowing that you could survive to live another day. James just not feeling like laying it all on the line. Now we have Ashley moving on. Ashley looking at pocket fives, going to raise 60K. Richard folds his ace-4, and we're going to move on to our next hand. Tiny, pocket queens. Obviously going to raise. Tiny now up over $1 million in chips. James, 9-7 suited, will call the 55,000. Now I'm a little perplexed as to why. Knowing he's not in any blinds, but now middle pair, Tiny has the queens. Obviously, you don't know this as the player. We can all see it develop as it plays out, but I don't know what James was maybe hoping to catch here. Obviously a 9 or a 7 or maybe a straight draw, but it's also an awful board. Well, it's a great board for Tiny. But, well, maybe James has got something cooked up that Tiny or myself didn't see coming. It's going to chunk Tiny maybe. Let's see. So he'll call. Six on the turn. Does give James a few more outs. Tiny's going all in again. This is feeling vaguely familiar to just a couple hands ago. Don't call this one, James. Don't call this one, James. Same situation, but different. Just, yep, thank you. Give it up. Tiny showing his couple of maids in the hole. James obviously knowing he made the right fold. Now, if only he saw what hand Tiny had just a couple hands ago in their last duel together. Oh. But that's poker. That's it was good poker on Tiny's part. So you can see here, Tiny with a commanding chip lead, 1.3 million. Ashley's been kind of quiet, hovering. Went from first to second. Nothing bad about that. Sitting in a very good position to let, if Tiny's getting the cards right now, let him knock some players out. Yeah, that gives him this massive chip stack, but every time a player goes out, you get paid that much more. And if you're just joining us on YouTube or Facebook, welcome. This is the Dakota Poker Tour Season X Championship live at Hagge's Bar in Mapleton, North Dakota. This was a $150 buy-in deep stack tournament. Started at noon today. It's now into our 9.5 hour. We got Mike Merrick looking down at Big Slick. Same with Ashley. Ashley's waking up to a better ace-king, being that it's suited. She's just going to call Richard Perkierowitz. Richie P, that's right, Richie P. Ace 8. Yeah, that's the smart play at this point. You got to know your ace middle kicker is probably not good enough to play. If we're down to 2 or 3, maybe even 4 players, then consider playing ace with a middle kicker. But being that there's already been a raise, already been a call, ace middle kicker is probably no good. You're probably facing a high pocket pair or another ace with a higher kicker. So we see our flop here, 6-7-4. 2 hearts, Ashley flopping the flush draw. Mike kind of throwing out a little fishing line. Ashley goes all in. Mike with a big decision to make here. I just cannot see him. I can't see him calling this, but maybe. Maybe he's going to be feeling a little frisky. Go ahead and call this. Nope, he folds. James waking up to pocket kings. He's going to raise it up to 55,000. Ashley's going to fold, and looks like Halloween's come early because I've seen a freaking pumpkin bucket thrown around on the table with candy, and now someone's coming around with beef sticks. Hopefully they come up here and bring us some beef sticks. And Richard's going to call with his ace-3 suited. Flop comes 7-9-10, 2 hearts. Richard with an open-ended, or not an open-ended, but flush draw, the nut flush draw. That's the words I'm trying to say. See, Richard has 6 outs, and they are certainly all hearts or an ace. James all in for 210,000 after. Oh, and Richie P's gonna call. Flip over his ace 3. Not a bad hand to gamble the night on, or this tournament life. Does have a decent amount of outs. He's gonna look at those 2 kings. No, he's probably beat. There's a 9 on the turn. River is a 5, and that's going to eliminate Richie P. 7th place, just shy of making the 4-digit club. We're just going to count the chips to make sure. Should Richie P go out here, he'll be taking home $940. Oh, so it's not always about the size of your chip stacks, but rather the value of those chips. Interesting turn here. James Wilson doubling up off of Richie P. Now, Richard's certainly in a position where he's going to have to go all in very soon. Button is in the 5 seat. So he's got 2 hands until he is in the big blind and has to ante. If you're a glass half full kind of guy, Richie P, as long as he's got chips in front of him, tournament life still alive, can still win. Never count anyone out of it. James Wilson, queen 2 offsuit, gonna fold that. Ashley's gonna look down at her ace 10 offsuit. Gonna play that, raises it to 55,000. Gonna fold around to Jacob, fold around to Mike, off to Tiny, ace deuce, suited. He will go ahead and call. Only 35,000 more, and we are going to see a flop. Flop comes King, King 9, Rainbow. Only one that helps is really Ashley, kind of, not really. Turns a 3, River's a 6, so Ashley's in the lead. She'll get it with ace high, but she's got better kickers. Being with that 10. Nice hand to Ashley, and Tiny. She says, go back to Hawaii, Tiny. It's getting cold up here. All right, and that sounds like from the tournament clock. We're going to take a quick 10-minute break. We'll be back after that. See the conclusion of our Dakota Poker Tour Season X Championship. And we're back for commentary, and we're waking up to James Wilson coming up with pocket rockets. Good God. Can't imagine Tony calling this. This is a pretty strong 9-deuce. Tiny, on the other hand, has the chips, would bring him down to just under $1 million. Then again, Jack 6 isn't that strong, but at the same time, when you're sitting four-handed or 5-handed, whatever, Jack 6 suited isn't so bad. Could be worse. Tiny will call, and he'll see that it's not looking good, and he will most likely be doubling up James Wilson. Flop comes 4-4-8. Tiny's going to need runner hearts. There's one of them. Basically, any heart in the deck will knock James Wilson out and crack his aces. And the river was a 9. It was a red 9. You saw James there giving a little sigh of relief. But it was a 9 of diamonds, which allows James to survive with his pocket aces. Tiny seems hardly phased. Tiny coming up with ace queen suited. He's going to raise to 85,000. James will fold, Ashley folds, Tony folds over to Mike, going all in with ace jack, and he is not going to be happy with the snap call from Tiny. So we're going to have ace queen suited versus ace jack. Mike's tournament life at stake. Our flop will come 3 queen king. Next player to go out will win $1,700. Turn is a queen. Pretty much seals the deal. Need a 10. And that does it. Mike Merrick eliminated in 4th place. Eliminated in 4th place, taking home $1,700. Quite an amazing run for Mike. We hope to see him tomorrow yet. There's still more poker to be played. For the winner here tonight, they will be able to participate in our Tournament of Champions, as all DPT Season X winners are invited to compete in our Tournament of Champions tomorrow at 10 a.m. And I believe at 1 p.m. we are going to be kicking off Season XI. Season 11 tourney kickoff, $150 buy-in for a 10K chip stack with add-ons available up to $25,000. That is tomorrow, not dollars, 25,000 in chips, but that is tomorrow again at Hagge's in Mapleton. See you guys here if you're watching poker live on YouTube or Facebook and you forgot you had the itch to play and you want to play some live poker. Now your first chance to do that within the next 24 hours, tomorrow Hagge's, 1 o'clock. $150 buy-in. We'll see you there. So James raises to 90K. Tony Euler going all in. Remember, if Tony wins this, he will jump into third place in our Player of the Year points race. James will fold. Moving on to our next hand. There were some pretty fun opportunities to actually win a seat, a satellite seat into this weekend's tournaments. September 17th. This is all in the past, so I won't even go over dates and times. But you could have won a seat, a satellite seat into our Dakota Poker Tour events here today at the Country Pub in Fargo, Fort Saloon in Abercrombie, Castleton Vets and Valley City Eagles Club, and then Bar 9 in West Fargo. If you play in the Free Poker Network's Bar League, Poker League, you would have had the opportunity to play for a seat into the Dakota Poker Tour tournament here today. FPN's Bar Poker League is a great way for new or inexperienced players to, a fun, welcoming environment to learn the game of poker. Also a great place for the experienced players to sharpen their skills and to continue to hone them throughout the weeks. All these, the bars I mentioned are weekly poker leagues, some even twice a week, but if you want to play some free bar poker, come on down to any one of those bars. And there's also a host of other bars that have the FPN Poker League in them, which we do have our state tournaments coming up. Also a FPN National Championship coming up here and within the next year. It's going to be sometime, I believe, in January or February. So in the coming months, we're all going to be going out to Las Vegas to compete in our FPN National Championship. 2 years ago when we did this, we gave away $25,000 to our FPN winner. Here we have a little bit of a hand here with James in with 9-6 suited clubs. Ashley Hofdahl, Queen 5 has absolutely nothing, but James with middle pair, firing away first. There's the initial aggressor, and there's the fold from the not very strong hand. Again, next player to go out, maybe a correction, but the next player to go out will take home $1,700. Most recent person to get knocked out got $1,370. Which the amount you win is the number of points you accumulate. That's where you get the biggest accumulation of points. We are now down to, or in halfway through our 10th hour. These players have been grinding away the day. To make it this far, you know, hats off to all 4 of our players here. So Ashley raising to 110,000 with her ace-8 offsuit. Euler folds, tiny folds. We're going to move on to our next hand. We've had so many fans of Dakota Poker Tour coming through the building today. We've had to cycle them in and out every 20 to 30 minutes. And when I say fans, I mean we've had about 5 party buses flow through the bar here. We are on to the Hawaiian themed now. Earlier was jerseys. The first group was everyone dress up as old ladies. Then I think we had a birthday party. It was an all-black dress party. But our players here at the table are not phased. James Wilson, Queen 3, waking up to a flush draw. Pretty strong one at that. We're going to be looking at James's Queen 3 suited. It goes all in, and Tony will call. And I think we're going to be heads up here. Flop comes, okay, when turns a 9, it's versus a 6-3 versus Queen 3. And the river is a 6. And that secures it for Tony. Looks like he's going to double up. A much-needed double up if he's going to be anticipating. Well, we'll see. Yep, he doubles up off of James. Much needed for Euler if he wanted to stay alive in this game. Eventually, though, fourth place person has got to go. Whether it's Tony, whether it's James, whether it's Tiny from Hawaii, or could even be Ashley. James going all in with his ace-6 suited. Ashley, queen-4, thinking about calling here. I think she's asking for a count. She's reaching for more chips. She's going to call, I believe. She does, flipping over queen-4. And we're going to be heads up. James Wilson's tournament life at stake. Ashley looking to grab a few more chips before we head into our final 3. Flop comes 5-9-7. James getting a gut shot here. There's a 4 for Ashley's 4. That's a pair. Needs a 6 and a 6 only. Oh my gosh. James survives. Rivers the straight. Oh my. He had. Wow. See, Ashley there had so many outs, 20 outs, a third or fourth of the deck. But James says, no freaking way, I'm losing this. Comes away with a little bit of a blessing on the river. Tiny with queen 10 suited. It's going to raise to 100K. Ashley folding her ace 5. Same thing with Euler. Looks like Ashley raises it to 110,000 over to Tiny. Looks like he's going to re-raise it to 250, 265. Oh, 340. That's one thing I know when I've played against Tiny is he just puts pressure on you. And it's just insane. Like he makes you really sweat when you bet because you don't know what you'll get. Ashley considering a call here, maybe trying to size up what she will have after this. Very tough decision here. Obviously, if Ashley could see the cards that Tiny's holding, or no, sorry, I thought Ashley had the ace-7. It is, in fact, Tiny's, so. Ashley will call for 230 more. Flop comes 6-3-5. Although Tiny did pick up a gut shot. Tiny going all in, knowing she calls. Oh my God, Ashley calls. This is an amazing call, I think. So ace-6 for Ashley, ace-7 for Tiny. Ashley picked up the 6, avoiding a 7 or a 4. No 7 or 4. And it's a 10. Oh, Ashley will either double up or knock Tiny out. We're going to have our TD Dana, our dealer, be making sure that everyone is, all the chips are accounted for and whatnot, but oh my God, what a amazing call from Ashley. Tiny, your hand. It was caught in that cookie jar. Get it out of there, says Ashley. And fire up the private plane. Tiny is short stacked and will need to be back on his way to Hawaii soon. Well, unless he's staying for the tournament tomorrow. 1 p.m. start time to start off DPT Season XI. $150 buy-in. Maybe Tiny will want some revenge if he gets kicked out here very shortly, but so we are with a big swing of chips. We want to make sure those chip stacks are accurate, but we'll be throwing up the graphics here of what chip stacks everyone has very shortly. But as you can imagine, Tiny's chip stack, he's only got a few big blinds left. He has 6, 7 for James, so looking to be a 2-horse race, but I can't even say that. Really, Ashley's, you know, she's Seabiscuit right now. She's going to take down the favorite certainly right now, but we all know you can't sleep on Mr. Euler over there. And we've certainly seen crazier things happen in poker. So that's why you play. As you can see, Tiny's call of the blinds, or the raise, took away half his chip stack. James all in with his pocket 7s. So James all in with 7s. Ashley ace 6 gets the 6, but she needs an ace, an ace or a 6 only. There's a 9, so the only thing that will help her is a 7, and there's 1 left in the deck. And Ashley will double up James, which certainly hurts a little bit. But not much. She has over 2 million in chips, right around. James certainly relieved, a little sigh of relief there to know he's got a little bit more breathing room. It was like he was, ball was on the 2-yard line, and he's just trying to run it to give him some breathing room, and I think he got the first down, but there's still 82 yards to go or 88 yards to go. Whatever I'm doing in this analogy, you probably understand. Here we have Euler. He's got perhaps by volume the smallest chip stack, but by value, he's might actually be in 3rd place now after James doubled up. But Tiny here going all in. 160 or 155,000 about. James just off the double up, probably wants nothing to do with that. Ashley sizing up her 1.9 mil chip stack. Looking at King 6 offsuit. Kind of a loose call, but also knowing Tiny's back is up against the wall. But careful, Ashley. You double up too many people, and all of a sudden, that 1-horse-head horse race turned into a 4-horse race. Here we have Ace 10, Tiny's Ace 10 versus Ashley's King 6. Flop comes 8, Queen 4. Tiny still in the lead. Ashley needs could use a 7 or a king. Or a 6, and that does it. Ashley pairs her 6 on the river. Perhaps not the most disgusting river we've seen, so not quite I need to go throw up worthy, but great hand to Ashley. Great tournament to Tiny. He's going to be taking home $1,700 in his efforts here today. Ashley that much closer to our top prize of $5,010. Certainly for me, I've never seen Ashley on the Dakota Poker Tour, at least on a feature table. I believe I've seen her in the field in the past. But great to see her on the final table. Euler, great to see him back. And James, certainly have seen him in the field as well. I don't know. He might have been featured table, but I don't know if he's ever been final tabled. Perhaps. My memory is pretty awful. So forgive me, James. But another story, I guess. Remember James way back when battling Tiny out, folded the nuts, and then tries 2 hands later to do almost was deja vu. But with actually the worst hand at that time, ended up getting chunked little by Tiny. But now he's final 3, which goes to show no matter how big or small your chip stack is, you still have a chance to win, or at least make it to that next player to be knocked out. Euler looking down at 5-3 suited and maybe thinking, gonna maybe try to steal some blinds in antes now, but wakes up to James going all in with king queen. There's no way Tony calls this. Yeah, absolutely, kind of what we expected for the viewers at home. Speaking of the viewers at home, thank you all for tuning in on Facebook and or YouTube. Maybe you're watching both streams at the same time. Who knows? Either way, thank you for tuning in. If you are watching on Facebook, go ahead and like the video. You can share it. You can do live interactive commenting. All that good stuff. If you're watching it from YouTube, you can give that video a thumbs up. Subscribe or hit the notification bell so you can be alerted when for all future events. And it looks like we just called a spontaneous break after all three players agreed to a quick break. So we will also take a break. We'll be back after the break for the conclusion of the Season X Dakota Poker Tour Championship. See you all very shortly. Shuffle up in deal order from our tournament director, Dana Castaneda. And we're 3 players down to our final 3. Looking down at ace-9. Our next player to be eliminated will be 24, will win $2,400. Real cash. Ashley looking to call a raise to 100,000. King 10 suited, certainly a stronger hand, 3-handed as opposed to 9-handed. Knowing that, she will call. Ashley hitting the queen. Check, check. Turns an 8. We'll check, check again. Ashley maybe hesitant that Tony has like an ace queen. They're going to check it down through the river and find out that Ashley does in fact have the better hand. Ashley being, or not being shy rather, of letting it be known that she wants this tournament. Ashley raising to 120,000. Their King 7 suited. Tony going all in with King Jack. Ashley calling for chip count. Looks like she calls. So Ashley the underdog for sure in this. Trying to take Tony Euler out. Already DPT season champion, Tony Euler. Ashley behind, but not at risk. Flop comes 9, ace, ace. Tony's liking the flop. Let's see if he can avoid catastrophe on the turn or river. I believe a 7 and a 7 only will knock Tony out. And there's a king that does nothing. Actually, nope. I was looking at chop pot, but Tony has the highest, a high enough kicker to where it can stay alive. No chop pot. Doubles up off of Ashley. Tony not going anywhere.
Attention players. The blinds have changed. The small blind is 30,000 and the big blind is 60,000. And the ante is 60,000.
So here we are. Tony raised to 120K. James re-raising all in. Not a good situation for Tony, should he decide to call. Being as he has one dead card and his only other live card is lower than James's other live card. Tony's asking himself, is this it? Is this the time? Is it the right time to pop off, call the all-in? Actually, he would be doubling James up, which would leave Tony in a severely crippled position. I wouldn't say it would take a miracle should Tony lose this for him to come back, but it definitely will take some luck. And not just luck, but quick luck, because those blinds are high enough where even a 200,000 or 400,000 chip stack is going to be dwindled quick. Tony not wanting to risk his tournament life on King 5 of Hearts, smartly folds, lives to fight another day. These players now are on their 11th hour. 11th hour of poker, which I'm sure none of them are strangers to. You know, for me personally, of never really seeing Ashley play, it's very clear she's extremely comfortable in the position that she has found herself in. Tony not really phased being the short stack, and James also has been proving not being really phased as who was once the short stack, but maybe their soundtrack of their day thus far, at least for James and Tony, their soundtrack is a familiar one by Gloria Gaynor of I Will Survive. And if we're sticking on that theme song, Ashley's what looks like to be, which is really bad for James and Tony, but I'm seeing the eye of the tiger. And James and Tony, watch out, because it's coming for you. Looks like Ashley is going to raise it up here. Ashley did expose that ace. I was confused for a second. I didn't realize Tony had folded. Pretty ballsy move to show one of your cards if you're still in the hand, which obviously we weren't. So all is well in the world once again. Here we see our chip counts. Ashley was over 55% of the chips. Tony and James both essentially 13 big blinds. And with blinds being 30 and 60K, you get that big blind, and now there goes 120K out of your stack. Here we see James looking down at pocket sevens. Sizing up a raise. Going to be 225. 230. Ashley 10-8. Nope. I think she's asking for a chip count. I don't know if that's just to intimidate James or make him think she has a super strong hand. Well, at least one considering a call. And three-handed again, your range opens up. It just does, because the odds of the other player having, other players, meaning two other people, it just goes down dramatically, as opposed to if you are, 5, 6 plus handed, your range tightens up a little bit generally. But when you get down to 4, 3, 2-handed, everyone's range opens up a little bit, whether it's just to see more action or just the fact that if you have one high card, most of the time you're going to have the better hand, or at least very close to the best hand. Pre-flop, that is. So Ashley sitting in the think tank. Looks like she's sizing up a call. Something came into her head and told her, hey, what are you doing thinking of calling with 10-8? He has a short stack, and maybe he's just trying to steal some blinds and antes, but at the same time, you can't really call off with essentially bad hands. Like, I would probably consider 10-8 to be, and I'm not an experienced poker player like any of these people at the table, but I would think 10-8 three-handed is not even a hand I would really consider playing. Of course, I'm not on the felts. I don't know what's going through their head. They have next level thinking that I don't. I guess if I would describe my poker playing style, it's mostly intuitive, which is not a recommended play style. Here we see Tony going all in with pocket nines. Ashley, another difficult position to call with queen eight suited. Now this is a much easier, would be more, it's easier for me to rationalize calling an all-in, knowing Tony's short stacked. He's kind of looking for a so-so hand. Maybe she's running into a monster. You just don't know if you're Ashley. But 120K. Ashley raised to 180. No, Tony's all in. They're all in for about 530. Ashley, 410,000 to call, which is call it a fourth of her chip stack. But she doubles Tony up, and all of a sudden, you've got two players sitting at the table that have $1 million in chips, and not just one. She's not ready. Not ready. I'd call it a smart play. There's probably better hands than queen eight to call an all-in by. Tony not necessarily back up against the wall right now. So probably a proper read. Or at least, yeah, decision that you didn't have to go all in quite yet. So maybe he does have a better hand than my queen eight. So with an ace in her hand, though, in last hand, I could definitely see Ashley calling. That would make a little bit more sense. So Ashley putting the pressure on again, raising it up to 180,000. Tony looking down at ace eight, looking 150K to call. She folds James Wilson coming into a pretty decent hand. 120K to call with ace-jack suited, completely dominating Ashley. He's going all in. We'll see if he's putting the pressure on Ashley. So Tony and James just keep on catching her. Oh, and she calls. We have a call from Ashley. She's not going to like what she sees, but that's why we have a flop, turn, and river to determine who wins. So Ashley's ace-7 versus James' ace-jack. Flop comes king-jack-9. Another 9. And we're certainly going to be seeing Ashley shipping chips James' way. And just like that, I'm going to say our once chip leader is no longer our chip leader. So here we have our chip count. James flip-flopping with Ashley. Oh no. She was in such a driver's seat position, but just I feel like just was on the wrong end of the kicker against Tony and James. I feel like they both had the same I card, and Ashley just had the smaller kicker to both Tony and James. So now she looks at being in last place, which is not what she wants to see. But if you're James, holy hell, what a fight. Started from the bottom. Now James is here in a very sizable chip lead. Ashley may be making the mistake of playing a little loose, but at the same time, you kind of want to see some action, or just kind of maybe just forcing it to happen. But again, what do I know? I get to sit up on a balcony and talk about what people are doing playing poker, try to speculate. James, ace-5 offsuited. Going to raise it up to 125,000. Euler looking down at king-6. See, here's where we're seeing, again, 65K to call. But here's where we're seeing the looser, the wider ranges of hands that players might play when it comes down to three-handed or less than four-handed, I'll say, four-handed or less. Flop comes ace-8, 7-jack. James in the lead with that ace. Backdoor flush draw. Tony basically just needs a king or a 6. And I cannot imagine him calling this, but what do I know? My name isn't Tony Euler. Yeah, he's going to get out of there. It's going to want to thank all those who are tuning in. If you were just tuning in, this is the Dakota Poker Tour Season X finale, the main event of the weekend even. But this will be the final tournament of Season X, which has lasted a staggering nearly 2 years, obviously due to 2020 being a wash of a year. But here we are. This is the conclusion. If you're tuning in on Facebook or YouTube, thank you again very much. This was a $150 buy-in. Cards in the air at noon. We are now on our about a quarter of the way through into our 11th hour. Ashley with king 3 suited. Tony Euler, the man to call, with ace 6. God, I would absolutely hate to see Ashley go like this. She's been playing such a good tournament, and I feel has just been one card away. Then again, she did have a really good streak of knocking players out left and right to make it down to the final 3. Chip leader for as long as I can remember, which is about an hour. Oh, and we have a call from Tony. James going to get out of the way. So this is Ashley's tournament life at stake. King 3 versus ace 6. Want to see a lot of clubs out there. So far we only have one. Need a king 3 or runner club. And that's going to do it on the clubs. We need a king or a 3, and only those. It's a 5. Wait a second. Did I get those players wrong? Yeah, Tony wins. They're counting his chips up. Verify. I was all confused for a second. Verifying that Ashley either has him covered or not. And by the looks of it, Tony will have Ashley covered. And just like that, we are two-handed heads up. No, we're not. She still has chips. We're surviving. I am really bad at chip counts. Maybe just need to be a little bit more patient. But there's Ashley, 100K left about. One big blind. Now I will say, do you believe in miracles? Because Ashley's going to need maybe not 1 or 2 or 3. Probably around 4 or 5. That would double her up into that, over that million point. But wow, Tony and James, once the short stacks, the little dogs, backs against the wall, fighting back, now splitting the most chips. They're up over 1 million now. But here, Ashley's basically all in because she's in the big blind. She had no choice. Tony goes all in to kind of box James out. So here we are, ace queen versus 8-5. Ashley's 8-5 at risk. Very much far behind. And 10. Oh my God. No hope. Flopped a straight. That's insane. Can't even hope for a chop pot. Oh, and that's going to do it. Ashley, excellent tournament. Great job. Started from the top, now we hear Ashley, great tournament though. Bad run of cards at the end, and that is arguably where it matters the most. Huge congratulations though. She'll be taking home $2,400. Now it is time for Tony and James to battle it out head to head. Great showing from Ashley on the Dakota Poker Tour. Again, anything prior to the windbreak in 2019, as far as getting deep in final tabling or even in other tournaments, I don't know. But great job to Ashley. It looks like we're going to take a short break, perhaps. No, these players are warriors. They just want to get at it. They are ready to fight and scrap, and we're just going to continue on. Next player to go out wins $3,210, and the final one standing will take home that top prize of $5,010. And here, as I was adjusting cameras, we are checking out James with his 6 deuce, Tony with his ace queen. We are in the heat of battle. 3-9-6 on the flop. James catching his 6. Tony betting. A beautiful raise by James, 300 to 80,000. Really putting the heat on Tony. So Euler sitting in the think tank. Maybe he belongs in the fish tank behind him. Yeah, wow. Such an aggressive play by James, but extremely deserving of that pot. Excellent job, James. And yeah, good fold from Tony. So at this point, it's kind of a unspoken, like almost law of poker when your head's up. They might battle it out back and forth here, you know, with more standard bets, but eventually it does become a time where you are either all in or you're not. Which gets extremely fun. Very exciting. But that won't happen with hands like 6 deuce and king 9. No way. We might even go back and forth on the blinds.
Attention players. This level will end in 1 minute.
All right, so we've called the blinds and whatnot. We have a check on the flop. Both got a piece of it with that 7. James perhaps sitting a lot better, obviously, with the king kicker, but also with the club draw. Tony getting that 7, middle pair, not amazing, but James does call Tony's bet of 135. River's a 6 of clubs, and there James knows this is in the bag unless Tony has the ace, but he doesn't, so check, check. River's a 10 of hearts. James, you cannot check this. You know, you just bet. You have to bet or go all in. But no matter what, you're putting chips in there for the off chance that Tony calls this, which there's no way. Oh, my God. Tony went all in thinking he could catch James, but no. We already know James has the nuts with the king high flush. Trying to see if... we very well might do a final chip count. Just to make sure, but this very well may be it. James Wilson, the final winner of the Dakota Poker Tour Season X, will join Tony and others tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. at the DPT Tournament of Champions. So anyone who has won Dakota Poker Tour in the last in Season X, they are welcome to come play in our TOC, and then tomorrow at noon, or is it 1? I think it's at 1. I'm asking someone who doesn't know. I don't know why, but I believe it's at 1 p.m. We got another tournament to start off the new season, DPT Season XI. So congratulations to James. Big win for James Wilson. I don't know if it's the first one on the DPT for him, but congratulations to him. Tony jumping up in the points race quite a bit, but not enough to overtake Brandon Dosh or Cody Slusher. But I think that's going to do it for us here today. Thank you very much for all tuning in. My name is Brian. I was your, I guess, what do you call it, commentator, color commentator for the evening. Thank you to Hagge's Bar and Grill, West Fargo Rural Fire Department, and all involved in putting this together. We are going to take about a 10 and a half hour break. We will have cards in the air tomorrow. We'll see you then.